channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. What's up? Today I'm here to talk all things Crashpad to you. So I'm going to tell you the details on the many Crashpads I've been in, what didn't work out, what worked for me, and where I found them. So let's just start at the beginning, finding your Crashpad. Now some places have more Crashpads than others, and that's okay. You know, we just gotta roll with the punches. So as you all know, I'm based in Chicago, and there is, in my opinion, a plethora of Crashpads in Chicago. Some are better than others, but the Crashpads are there. So to find my Crashpad, I Google searched. So I went in my search engine and I typed ORD Crashpads, and then I got this list of like different websites that came up. The two websites that have been most successful for me are Crashpad 411 and Pure Crashpads. I will link both of them down below if you're searching for a Crashpad. Another option that I think is really good is join a Crashpad Facebook group. Facebook has groups for everything, and the groups are definitely like super dope, super helpful. So join a Crashpad group, because then people talk about what Crashpads are opening, what they have. You can like message people, so on and so forth. And outside of joining the Crashpad Facebook group, just search any other groups that you're in and go in there and ask questions about Crashpads. Those have been the methods that I have seen most people use, and the methods that have seemed to be most successful for everyone. So again, I used Google and I found both of my Crashpads through Google, through those websites that I mentioned. I feel like it's pretty simple. Yeah, like finding one, actually finding one, I feel like is the simpler part. Next step, once you find one, you send them a message, they message you back, and I recommend seeing the Crashpad in person before you agree to pay a deposit or before you agree to move in. When you are going to these Crashpads, there are a few things that I think that you should be looking for. How clean is it when you go there? What vibe do you get when you walk in? Don't get so caught up in the, oh my gosh, I need a Crashpad so bad, like the desperation of it piece, because then you could overlook some places that have some red flags, and that's just me being honest. You want to look for like, how is the refrigerator space? Like, is it like, do you get your own shelf? Is it numbered? Do you put your name on it? Is it just a free-for-all? What about the cabinet space? What about the common areas? Like, what are the rules for the common areas? Can you have like your friends come over, look at your room, inspect the bed? Like, most people will show you like, okay, this is gonna be your room, this is gonna be your bed. Inspect the bed, look for bed bugs, look for any other little mites that we know like to crawl around. Like, keep your eyes open for those things, because those things just don't pop up randomly. Like, once you move in, like, they have already been there. Just FYI. Another thing that you're looking for is like storage space. So if you are a commuter, or if you're like living-ish full-time in your base, you want to see what kind of storage space they have. So is there a closet for you to hang stuff in? Is there a dresser for you to fold and put stuff in? If you don't have bunk beds, is there under the bed space? Another big thing for me was packages. Can I get packages sent to the house? Because I like to order a lot of stuff, and as everyone knows, I no longer live in Maryland, so I'm like primarily either working or at my Crashpad. So when I order stuff, I needed to go somewhere. So like, can I get my stuff ordered here? Yeah. And last but not least, I would say, if you are in a situation like me where you know you moved out of state, you're not really commuting home, because commuting just sounds like a nightmare. Like, I don't want to commute. Like, I don't want to ever have to commute. But are there rules for how long you can be there? So some places are like, you can't be here more than 15 days. And I don't even know if that includes like days that you're sleeping, or like days, like trip days. But some places have rules like that. If you have more than one day off, you need to go somewhere. Like, you can't just be in the house for 4 days straight. So ask all of those questions and make sure you get clear, concise answers, because that's going to be important to how healthy your living situation is. I forgot one. You need to know if your bed is a hot bed or a cold bed. Now, let me tell you the difference. So a hot bed is a bed that's always going to stay warm. What does that mean? That means you will not be the only person sleeping in that bed. That means that bed is in rotation. So whoever is here and whoever paid for that bed, a bed, will be in your bed. Like, it is not your own personal bed. So when you're there, it's yours. But when you're not there, it is not. Hot beds. Or you have cold beds. Cold beds are beds that get cold when you're not in them. So that means it is only your bed, your sheets, your pillow, and you don't have to worry about anybody else's drawers, bugs, leftover hair, any of that. You don't have to worry about any of that in a cold bed. So know the difference between a hot bed and a cold bed. So now that I got all the formalities out the way, now let me tell you about my crash pad situation. So I moved to Chicago at the beginning of September. I did a virtual tour of my crash pad because I wasn't able to make the flight to Chicago, but I still got to see the house in real time. I got to see the room that I'll be sleeping in, and some of the people who live there. So that was nice. I get there on September 1st. I find out on September 2nd that unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, my crash pad has to close. So now I go into panic mode because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to move. I just got here. Finding a crash pad is like cumbersome. It's like finding the perfect house or like finding the perfect apartment. You just don't stumble across them. Like, it takes due diligence and dedication, okay? So the crash pad that I was going to see, so I was going to see 2 crash pads when I came to Chicago, but I didn't make the flight. So I just FaceTimed with someone that lived in the house that I was living in at the beginning of September. And that's how I did my tour. But the other place, the lady was just like, oh, if you can't come see the tour, then, like, if you can't come see it with the tour, then, So that's how I ended up going with my other one as well. So I circled back and I asked her, like, hey, do you have availability for the beginning of October or the beginning of November? And she was like, I have availability for both. Me personally, I'm looking for a semi-private or private room because I have my stuff. I want to be able to store my stuff. I want to be able to have some space because, again, I'm not commuting back home. And these are also things that I was upfront with the crash pad owners. Like, I will not be commuting home. I will be traveling though, so I'm not just going to be in the house all the time when I'm not working. And everyone was pretty much understanding. The lady's like, yeah, come see it. We set a date and we go see it. Now, this is literally like the end of the first week of September. I go see it. I like it. It's nice. It doesn't have any red flags. And it's a semi-private room. And the other bed wasn't currently occupied, so it would have been like my own personal room until someone else moved in. She asked me if I had like a roommate. I didn't. Like, somebody to move with me. I didn't. So she was like, oh, okay. She told me what the deposit was. She told me what my monthly rent would be, and everything's set in stone. I told her, like, I'm good. Like, I want to move for the beginning of October. Like, I'm down. Sign me up. So everything seemed cool. We would message back and forth. I messaged her maybe a few days later, and I just asked, like, oh, would I be able to move stuff in on September 30th instead of the 1st, because my reserve bucket started on the 1st, and I didn't want to get called for a trip and then not be able to move my stuff in and then be in between 2 places. She said, okay, that's cool. I even told her that some other people from my crash pad that I was currently living in are looking. So I was asking if she had more space. She asked me to send their contact information. I sent it. Everything is going good. I messaged her their contact information maybe like mid-September. I don't have the exact date, but I messaged like mid-September. She responded with send me their contact information. I sent it and I didn't hear anything else. I messaged her a couple days later like, hey, we never discussed how you like the deposit, how you would want the deposit to be paid. So just let me know like how you want it to be paid. And, you know, I can get that sent right over to you. Or do you want me to pay it like when I first move in, like pay my deposit and my first month's rent at the same time? I get no response. A couple days later, I send another text and I'm like, hey, I just want to confirm that we're good for the 30th for me to move in, and also just let me know about the deposit. No response. So now we get to the end of September. It's September 29th, and, you know, I'm supposed to move on the 30th. So I call the morning of September 29th and I leave a message because no one answers. So I call and I leave a message and I'm just like, hey, it's Erica. Let me know about the deposit. I want to make sure that we're still good for me to move in on the 30th because I haven't heard back from you in about 2 weeks. So, you know, I just want to check and make sure everything's good. I hang up. I don't get a call back for the rest of the day. So now tomorrow comes. It's the morning of the 30th, and I'm just on the couch, chilling. And I get this text message. And her text message pretty much stated like, hey, so you're not going to be able to move in today because you didn't pay your deposit. And frankly, we weren't sure if you were serious about moving in because before you chose another crash pad over us. And I was just taken aback because the reason why I ended up in my first crash pad and not hers is because she didn't give any wiggle room for me to come see it. Her response pretty much was, well, I run 4 businesses, so I need you here at 1 o'clock. And if you can't be here at 1 o'clock, then that was the text. Like, if you can't be here at 1 o'clock, then. So I'm like, if I didn't make the flight. So I told her I didn't make the flight. There wasn't even an offer like, oh, well, can you come a different day? She was real unbothered about it. So that's why I ended up going with the place that I could see because I couldn't see her place. So getting this text, I'm just like, And then the other thing that pissed me off was she didn't even tell me how she wanted the deposit paid. Like, at all. I sat in her face and had a conversation. I sent her multiple messages, which I still have in my phone, just for, my own little tidbit of proof. But she never said how she wanted a deposit paid. And I asked that, and I asked when you want it paid. But if you want someone to pay a deposit, you need to tell them, like, I need your deposit by this date. Send it to me through Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, put it in cash, mail me a money order. I don't know. But tell me how you want me to pay it. Don't make it seem like I'm out here just, like, not trying to pay my deposit. I'll pay it. I don't have no problem paying it. But I also need to know how. Because I can't just send random money. So I messaged back like, okay, well, I can pay my deposit today for a November 1st move-in. She's like, no, well, we're not really renting out the semi-private right now. And I'm like, so I can't rent it in November? And she was just like, no, because we only want to rent it. We're not renting it out right now, but we only want to rent it if there's 2 people confirmed. And I'm just like, what? I feel like she was just messing around with me at that point. And then circles back to say, and I've been interviewing and I found someone to rent it and they can bring a roommate with them. So pretty much it's not even a deposit thing. You were just being money hungry. And instead of renting to me someone who you had a verbal conversation with, someone who you sat in my face like, oh my God, I love your energy. I think you would be great here. You seem very trustworthy. And you're someone that I would want to be like, watching over the house when we're not here because her and her husband were about to move out, like all of this stuff. And now all of a sudden you can't rent to me, but then you just automatically found 2 people. Like, I don't like that. That's bad business. So I just stopped messaging her back because it was a lost cause. But that same day, I ended up messaging a 3rd crash pad that was kind of an option. They replied back later than the other 2, so they weren't an initial option, but they had a private room available. So I messaged them that same day and I'm like, hey, is the private room still available? And they were like, yes, it is. And I was like, can I come see it today? And this is September 30th. I'm like, can I come see it today? And they were like, yeah, you can come see it today. How about this time? They gave me a time. I showed up at the house. It was great. It'll get the job done. It was clean. There's a living room area, like a nice kitchen. Kitchen space is a little cringy, but when you're working as much as I work, you're not really storing that much stuff in the kitchen. It just comes with like pots and pans and stuff. And I got a private room, ceiling fan, good lighting, and a full-size closet for the same price that I was gonna pay that lady for a semi-private room. So at the end of the day, your girl made out. I saw it on the 30th and I was moving in on October 1st after I did my local for that day. So all I'm here to say is watch out for these crash pad owners because some of them are greedy. And just make sure you do like your thorough like vetting process, so on and so forth, because I feel like that lady really played with me. And I don't like that. Like, you try to blame it on the deposit and blame it on this other stuff, but really you, instead of just getting money from me, you wanted money from 2 people. You were being greedy. So it is what it is because I bounced back and I bounced back better. My new place is closer to the airport than that lady's spot was, so that's nice. I can get to the airport in like 13 minutes. I don't have to take the highway if I don't want to, and I can still get into the city for a decent amount of time. And that's something that I forgot to say in the beginning. Check the distance of the crash pad to the airport, because that is the most important destination. And also check for the option of public transportation. I can take the train from my current crash pad if I want to, but I brought my car to Chicago. So yeah, all in all, your girl has a crash pad that I pretty much live in part-time, because you know I fly all the time. Like, I'm always on a trip. So yeah, that's all I have. If you guys have any crash pad questions that I didn't already answer in the video, go ahead and drop them down below in the comment section. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you are notified when I post all of my new videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.